a lot of the teachings out there are old. They're very outdated. You may find yourself at the ceiling of spirituality, which is really just living. I don't think we even need to box it into some kind of topic. I think you know that you're at the edge of that topic. So what's coming next? Because once we put to bed all of these old stages and all these old phases, you know that something's coming which involves you embodying everything that you've learned without the theory anymore. It's more of a way of living. Going beyond linearity, going beyond the old systems of physicality, biology. You came to this planet at this time because there is so much going on in terms of the speed of what you can experience. You can experience so much more than the masters that came before. The teachers that came before were literally saying in the scriptures that those that come will do as I did and more. Don't be afraid to go further just because there are certain teachings that say you must destroy the ego or you must somehow just stop all desire. The only desire that is distorted is that which comes from a lack mentality. But desire that comes from joy, the passion for existence, the very reason you're here, is the most natural desire at all. The only reason you're embodied within physicality is because you had a natural desire to experience this. Don't overlook the guilt complex that gets woven into basically trying to tell people to stop their passions, stop going beyond the old teachings and get into line. You know that you're far greater than that. The world is far too small for you. Spirituality is far too small for you. You are outgrowing everyone and everything. And that's a great sign of really the maturity of your soul that is slowly melting everything that is around it. And there are many people alongside you as well. I'm one of them. There are many of us that are getting very bored. I mean, let's be honest, open up YouTube. How boring is YouTube today, right? The titles people use, everyone's going around in circles, especially the distortions around abundance, manifestation. Don't get me started on sacred union. I mean, there's so much that's going in different ways, but you're here with me and we only care about truth and expression and guiltless expansion. So firstly, release any guilt around going beyond old teachings, old teachers, maybe people in the past. Those in their prime of the Ramana Maharshis, they were coming through with the most pinnacle of purest teachings. But you didn't incarnate now to go over and hash over the same teachings that came before. Even channeling such as Bashar has almost pushed that bar even higher in some instances. But even there, he's so accessible to all, that will even start to become claustrophobic for you. Pick anyone that you see, and you'll start to realize you are the master of today, which tomorrow's beings will look back to. It is on not your shoulders, but in your potentials to bring through something that hasn't been seen before, through the form of embodiment and demonstration, away from theory, away from conjuring up more perspective and concepts. I'm looking for those really, and I don't tell many people this, but I'm always looking at the comments, I'm always looking at who joins my satsangs, and my radar is razor sharp for noticing in someone a fire that knows that they came here for a lot more than just the initial realization of I am, or no self, or a trauma work. I can sense it straight away, not through someone's particularly displayed sense of wisdom, but a potential energy within them that's like a seed that is only fueled by curiosity without agenda. Curiosity with agenda is usually I'm trying to get something out of this for my own self-image or for basically creating more security for myself. Now, there's nothing wrong with safety and wanting to feel safe. In fact, the safest you'll ever feel is when you're flying at your high capacity of guiltless expression. You know, an eagle will never feel satisfied unless it's flying with its wings outspread. But what I want to say is the safety isn't found in stagnancy. It isn't found in stages, in concepts, in awakening. We can throw enlightenment out the window. Everyone's enlightened. It's so simple, and we know this. We had teachers to bridge that gap to really get people up to the enlightened position, the perspective of who you are as being far beyond this body. But once you see you're beyond the body, there is so much more to explore. And this is what channels like my channel are hoping to really inspire in people, is that you can keep dropping the old concepts, the old ways that we used to define what it meant to be spiritually successful. The biggest misconception of all is the fear of individuality. This era especially is so primed for the universe to be able to experience individuated fractals of itself. No more trying to get back to oneness. There is no such thing as getting back to oneness. This implies separation. You can only really embody and feel the oneness that you are in your individuated expression. As above, so below. You'll never be the expansive of infinity, which is really the smallest thing in the world, the zero, where nothing's ever happened, just pure potentiality of a field that can be manifested through basically intention. You are just empty intention moving through the field of reality. But this concept that you call yourself to be in this physical world, where this is the only real third density way of being so veiled of your knowing of your God being, you came here to have a different experience that wasn't just about an emotionless oneness. This is really the emotion full, which is really beyond the old human emotion of creativity, individual expression, claiming your godhood. Now let's move on to a topic that I'm really interested in. The gods are returning, not from above, but through you, as you. The gods are returning through you, as you. Now you hold dormant potentialities, which if you're on this channel, I keep saying I don't have any worries about people being here that shouldn't be here. They get deflected away in the first 10 seconds from whatever I'm speaking about. If they're looking for something else, they'll find it. They have a whole list of videos that they can click on. But those that are really still here, even this many minutes into this video, you have a potential within you to embody godlike traits which have been long forgotten and placed into the mythologies and even the superhero movies of today. Because when someone isn't ready to embody a collective isn't ready to take on their potentialities through the expression of infinity, the expression of immortality within form, which I'll get to in a minute because that can get very confusing for people. They tend to place it and push it into stories, into mythology, knowing the reason that we're so interested in these mythologies is because we know this is something that actually will be embodied by yourself if you choose to stay within this timeline of going the full way into deeper mastery of what it meant to be the godlike quality, not just to talk about it. So now it's slowly coming out of the mythologies and back into embodiment. Some of us right on the cusp are starting to remember a lot more than we thought we would when we first got into this body, into this meat sack. We looked around and this meat sack became such a veil. It's such a thickness to its forgetting. Because not only are you within biology, which is a complete snip of everything that you know before, you are sucked into a very dense gravity of a collective, which we didn't know it would be this gravitationally strong, but it is. And it just means more wisdom to be transmuted here, more to be not so much transmuted, we can go beyond that word, but to be released from, transformed from. You came here to take on the difficulties of humanity, to show them it was safe to release them. Not to show them how to get better within that framework, not to somehow, so I've got a stupid hair here, not to show them that limitation was normal, that you had to keep bowing down to some externalization of a hierarchy, but to show them that if I can be in this much of a veiling and release myself and still find myself, then so can you. There is no excuses, and your very potential to go through these stages is carving a snowplow for those that are coming. So on this leading edge then, why do I think that this channel is great for those that are here and don't get scared away? Because within you, you'll get so bored of awakening, you'll know that there's something coming on the horizon. There are certain traits that we know have been long forgotten. Let's start throwing them out. By location, and none of these really need to be embodied right now. Levitation, biological immortality, which by the way doesn't mean just living in form forever. It just means the end of the choice of decay. Decay and death are a natural part of nature. I understand, I had some comments of confusion before. We know the impermanence of nature. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about closing the circuit of the energy centers, which is supposed to be the way that your etheric fields work, your auric fields. You're not supposed to be leaking as much energy as you are. You're not supposed to die this quickly. You're not supposed to age this quickly. It may be normalized because in all the history books and all the science books, that's what you read. But just because you read something does not mean it's true. Just because something is written down, you find the author of that book and they've read it from another author that's just as deluded, but really innocently forgotten. You hold very sacred DNA patterns. You hold potentialities, which is why even after awakening, I'm assuming you're on this video and there's something bubbling under the surface that's really a dormant potentiality within you to embody greater embodiments of infinity, the I am incarnate. Awakening isn't just about waking up to your true nature and then just living out the rest of your days to one day leave the body. You didn't come here, especially to this video, for that. If you did, you'd much more likely to be on other sort of channels which are just about identity release. Identity release, and sometimes if you're lucky, the channel will go into integration, which takes no time at all. People tend to keep hashing over emotional work, healing, sitting with things. Go at your own pace, but ultimately know that release is a very quick process. It's gentle, it's liberating, it's an energetic transmutation usually, but it doesn't need to be analyzed and analyzed and analyzed. This is why many of you are finding these stages to just glide through. And this isn't an age thing, but I tend to find those that are younger have less dogma because they've been on the spiritual path for less time. Maybe they've come into this life with a lot less veiling, who knows? But we're throwing age out the window. None of you have to blame your age, your background, your culture, what you've read. Nothing can affect you that you don't give the power away to. All the power is within yourself. Nothing can touch that unless you want it to. Wanting it to is just an experience that you've chosen to experience some kind of lack of empowerment. But those days are over and you won't survive this video either. The power not only was always in your hands, but the reason you ever felt something was outside of yourself was a decision. That's how powerful you are. I love when Bashar talks on this as well, but ultimately let's evolve this teaching as well. Because we're not just about concepts of saying, I know I'm God. You are a God being. The mythology that you read is true. But what happened was they cut the identity to you in these mythologies and said, these are from above, beings from over here, beings from over there, but not you. But I'm here to be so insistent that if you're here, you are ready to embody some next stages. It may not be very quickly, but it's going to accelerate to the point where it's all to do with this biology changing and really being gone beyond. AI and technology is going to see one stream of humanity go down a very, very strange route of robotics, of using metal, computing, chips. I've always said, and I always will say, consciousness is primary. The natural organic route of consciousness will always be my interest. Whatever technology supports that will be very useful. Whatever technology allows the primary nature of consciousness, which has a set template already set up for you to allow chakras to open far beyond the 7th chakra, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, the chakras in your shoulder blades, the chakras that allow for deeper clairvoyance, right? Bilocation. All of these things you've left at the gate to experience this strange level of limitation are going to be memories within your mind, within your being, as we go beyond the mind. I'm interested in a small group of beings who are, and I will know when I meet them, and I meet very often people of this, not so much caliber, but clarity of consciousness. Consciousness is uniform, but the thinness of your veil shines through in a different way. I can always sense when someone's veil is so thin, I'm speaking directly to myself. The agendas may come in, little personal human-y bits come in, but they're just thrown away and you see straight away. We're going to go far beyond what anything has ever been seen on this planet. We've got civilizations that came before and we marvel at their technology. We may have a different trait of this root race of humanity. We're much less technological in a certain way like the Atlantis was. But this time of Aquarius is a technological revolution that we're seeing just go like this. But there's going to be two splits. We're going the consciousness route. Now, what does this actually look like? Well, the return of the Merlin, the return of magic is really a remembering of dormant capacities within you that will start to be revealed. Instant precipitation, instant travel. The fact that you're in a meat sack should feel really slow. If you've been feeling very tired recently, very run down, or maybe you're just not as energetic as usual, that's a great sign that there's many upgrades going on in the cells of your body to make way for other bodies to have more of a dominance over your experience. All of your different bodies are battling out against each other to have more of your attention. Right now, for the last how many centuries, it's all been on the biology, the physicality. But you're allowing your attention to go beyond that physicality and to be able to still have consciousness housed within this body, but to go far, far beyond. Like I said in the video 2 videos ago, we're not going to be meeting in these same ways. I am done with a lot of this physicality meeting. It should feel slow and old to keep meeting in these bodies, but we can take these bodies and materialize these bodies elsewhere. Right? Conscious intention, the natural ability of infinite consciousness. What I don't understand is when someone will watch my videos and they'll know that they're infinite consciousness, but they'll say, no, what you're saying is wrong and it's too far, you're going loopy. That's what it meant, that word comes up a lot. But how could that be so? Consciousness is infinite. Why do you draw a line at any point around this? You're going too far, get grounded. But hold on, you agree to the infinite capacity of consciousness to be and do and see anything. Yet you house yourself within a meat sack and say, that's not me, that is you. You embody the infinite as much as you want to. This is the strange mechanism humanity holds to stay in a slavery mindset. Now, who do we think implanted that there? Why does humanity start to get scared on the edge of the rim of infinity? What is it that stops them? It's a gravitational pull. You ever seen a crab try and go up a bucket? The other crabs pull him down. But that crab that pulls you down doesn't really exist outside your mind. You can't get pulled back into gravity out of anything out of choice. So you simply continue to go out of these imaginary buckets. Remember, the buckets, you're not even in a prison. The prison is made of you. The prison is made of thought, of air, of nothing. Everything, if you were to zoom into even this biology, you would find more empty space. You go into a particle, more empty space. It's just a play of consciousness. So why do we stop? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I'm generally asking you right now, why does humanity stop at awakening or enlightenment? If I was to take a guess, I would say it's just a maturity that we're starting to really run. Really not going anywhere. but we're allowing our legs to really start to stride. We're hitting our strides as the infinite God beings that we are in embodiment that's never been seen before. This is why this point of history and the sequence of events, which are all happening now in a non-linear way on this planet, is of so much focus in all of creation. Because sure, outside of this strange world of the veiling of forgetting, it's all just so whatever. There's much less gravity, there's no limitation. But that does not really provide the infinite with much of anything. It doesn't provide you with much of any experience or wisdom. So what do we have here? The opportunity to embody that which we know is on the other side of the veil as an explorative experiment within physicality, yet still going beyond. Now, how many of you at home have a garage or a garage, however you say it? Maybe you have a car if you're lucky, maybe 2, maybe 3. Up until this point, it's felt like you've had one car, this body. Like, take it into this analogy, the vehicle of physicality. You don't have one car. You have many mansions, many cars, many vehicles of expressing consciousness through physicality that you've left to rot in the dust because you've driven this one for so long and you haven't even driven it. You've just had your attention on it. So what happens when I just take the veil off one of these other vehicles, which is really no different to how you're operating this vehicle? It's just consciousness and intention, free will. The illusion really of free will, but it's the only realm that they manage to convince and to be very realistic of your own free will. In fact, it truly is on one level free will because it's the decisions that you make here. On one level, you could say there's no free will, but in one relative way, you set this up to experiment what it's like for individuated fractals of consciousness to have that choice points to see what would happen, right? So it's very different. A spiritual awakening, when you sense someone and you speak to someone where they take this vehicle as the only thing, I am not the body, and they put their feet up and that's it. We know if that's your only insight that's exciting to you, that that's perfect for you, we're not going to push you to go any further. But it tends to be a mischief of wanting more experience, not out of lack, but out of passion. Passion is so different to lack. This is why a lot of abundance teachings are distorted, because it's coming from lack. They're trying to manifest, they're trying to create, they're trying to get enlightened just to fill a hole that's not really there. Just to fill the one thing that's not there. Your insistence on working on lack creates lack. Forget it. Forget trying to fix yourself. Go for truth. Right? But here in passion, when you're creating from intention of joy, is such a different energy. In fact, it's truth. Pretending that you have to curb all of your desires which are coming from your true passion of incarnation will create this strange vortex within you of compressed energy, which you'll then label as negative energy, and you'll try and fix it. But it's not fixed through that way. It's fixed through the expression, right? Like I say, it gets burnt up in your guiltless flight. So much different. So different. I want you to go beyond anything that you think the next stage will be awakening, and to know that this is an experiment of embodying your God being. You are a God in the flesh, walking amongst men. 99% of the people you see around this globe are not going to be embodying what you are in this lifetime. You need to learn that. You need to learn that they will not see what you see. Even within spirituality, 99% of them, maybe 90 to 95, as we get more and more as we go, will not even understand what you're saying. They'll say you need to come back to emptiness or no self, curb your desires, be strict, be disciplined. Forget it. Forget them. Let them be. They don't know any better. Maybe they'll have another lifetime. But in this one, it's so different. It's explorative. It's creative. It's full of passion. An eagle knows it has to fly. It loves to fly. It loves to soar high and low and to see there's no difference between as above and so below. How are you supposed to see that unless you don't soar like that? If you stay in your nest, You will never know. And you'll kick yourself if you stay there for the rest of this incarnation. But you can't. It gets too painful to stay within inertia. It's like a burning house. You won't stay in there. But what's so funny to me is people tend to try and perfect the human. They're cleaning a house that's burning down. Hold on a minute, Matt. Let me just do this, sort out my finances here, feel my emotions here. All valid, but the house is coming down. You never need to, none of this stuff you feel is yours. You bought into a collective. 9 times out of 10, the first year of your spiritual awakening, you get through and release all of your strange karmic stuff, your belief systems. Anything after that is a delay to keep going back. The rest of you feel now is, let's say, for example, recently there was something in the politics. The whole of a country feels this urge, you'll feel it as well. But you just don't have to take it on as your own. This is the mastery, is disowning it guiltlessly. It's not yours. I'll feel it, unrelease it. Feel it, release. The stories are not mine. Strip the sensations of stories. Strip anything of having a rationalization. It's just energy passing through. And you'll find the next day you're back. Could be a full moon. You're feeling the collectives getting all of their stuff shadowed back to them. Take it on, leave, drop it. Don't take it on is what I'm going to say. Infinity has no edge. So why is humanity insistent on even solidifying awakening down to a box? Many of you aren't, and I'm not blaming you. I'm just really trying to inspire. I really inspire through demonstration anyway. These videos are a nice way to verbalize it, but most of my teaching is just through living. All right. I'm excited for what's to come, whether that's on this planet, whether it's interplanetary, whether we can never use an aeroplane again. Immortality is not about attempting to live forever within illusion. It's knowing that you have a choice to materialize the body, to be wherever, to never age. It's not about avoiding the beautiful impermanence of the delicate nature of life. It's natural, yes. But that is a delay mechanism at a certain point, because you'll know that in that you're sucking into belief systems around strangeness of what it means to be a human. The human was supposed to be set up to be far more of the embodiment of the God, of the gods. They are the gods. They hold the dormant plates within them. They're just dwindling right now. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, which I'm going to make a whole video on, there is a mass distortion of ET channeling on YouTube. Have you noticed it? So much bullshit coming out of titles like Palladians. What I really am not fond of is podcast hosts that gain views from pumping fear into the collective using titles like "The battle is coming," right? You need to be warned about this. It's such a cop-out. It's cowardly, really.